Hey guys, happy new year, happy 2024. Please let me know how your 2024 has been so far. I feel like 2024 is off to a fast, interesting, but good start. So today we're going to get a little real, for lack of better words. I don't really have better words. But in 2023, I was like, okay, this year I'm going to open up more on my YouTube channel. I'm going to share some of the things that I'm going through. So here I am, and today I'm going to be talking about how I have trust issues. Now, I know that as Christians, we're supposed to speak life and not death over our situations, but I feel like me actually admitting in 2023 that I had trust issues allowed God to come in and then start to help me and work on some of these things. Like I was saying, in 2023, I had a conversation with a friend, and I was just kind of joking and making light of the situation, but listening back to the words that I was saying in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, do I have trust issues? And I started laughing, but then I was like, oh my gosh, do I have trust issues? I feel like for a good portion of my life, I did trust people. I was pretty trusting of people. I was one of those people that I'll trust you until you prove me wrong, or I'll trust you until you show that you're untrustworthy. I was like that, but life comes and it jades you because I had been burned. And I think that's where my jadedness came through. Like, life circumstances can make you jaded, but also I had been burned more than once. And I was just like, ooh, people are just not reliable. People are fickle. People will fail you. And I'm like, why would I continue to extend and continue to trust people that just prove to me time and time again that I cannot trust them? Or I'm not safe with them. My emotions are not safe with them. My thoughts are not safe with them. My feelings are not safe with them. So in my friendships, this is how I would operate. I would pretty much be like, okay, so I think I'm starting to feel like I can trust this person. They are who, they seem to be who they say they are. So what I did is I would test people. I would give you a little bit of information that I didn't typically tell other people, and how you responded to that information is then what I based my level of being able to trust you off of. So let's say, for instance, I tell somebody about something super, super difficult that happened to me. If you invalidate my feelings, if you seem like you don't understand, or you're not willing to understand, or if you just seem uninterested, then I know that I can't trust you with my stuff. And it's crazy because you can see the look on people's faces when they genuinely don't care about what you're talking about, or don't value that you're not that much of an open person and you are deciding to be open. And it's just crazy because so many of those times I think I would hope to be proven wrong, and I would be proven right time and time again. These people just could not handle the things that I was saying, and not necessarily handle it, but they weren't able to be there for me in the way that I longed for, or make me even feel like me placing trust in them was the right decision. So there was a point in time, or a period in my life, that I was struggling. It's one of those seasons that came up that just kind of sucker punched me. I guess it felt like that in the beginning. So I'm like, oh my gosh, talking to God about this, journaling. And then I'm like, I feel that I could open up to someone super close to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my heart in that way, share what's going on. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to tell my friend. So I ended up talking to my friend, and I'm kind of explaining the same things to you that I was explaining to them, but also I was explaining to them in greater detail about what I was going through. And that situation had my mind racked. I was like, this is not something that I can get myself out of. But I also think I was going through the grieving process, because there are sometimes you want and hope for things to work out and they just don't. So I'm sharing with my friend, okay, not only is this what's happening, but inside I'm just shocked that it's happening, kind of. So I'm pouring out my heart to this friend, and they end up saying oh, you're not done talking about that yet? And I was like, you don't ever, 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 ever have to worry about me saying anything ever again. It just proved the narrative that I told myself, or that I spun to myself, people cannot handle me, or people can't handle what I say, so why would I trust them? It just showed me that I can have the best intentions in sharing, or really needing a friend to be there for me, only for them to prove that I should never be open, that I should never be vulnerable, or that I can't even really trust. That really hit me in a different way. One, because I was really going through it and I needed a friend. And two, because the person who I expected to be there to like be a shoulder to cry on was literally like, are you not done? So it felt like it just completely invalidated everything I said. And I'm like, man, I would never do that to somebody else, or my hope is that I wouldn't. And I would never want somebody else to feel like I'm doing that to them in a time that I can see that they're really distraught and actually need me to be there for them. So I was pretty much like, I'm good on this situation. And I continued to be friends with that person, but opening up in the same way, that was a negative. I was like, never again will I do that, because I saw what it looked like to be open. I saw what it looked like to try to be vulnerable and to trust you more than I had previously, and it backfired. So I started building up a wall, I guess I would say even more, to where I'm like, I'm not just going to let people in that wall easily. But what I think I did was, instead of me taking a moment to say, God, is this even a person that I should be like trusting? Is this a person that I should be open and vulnerable with? I took that and I'm like, no, because you were a friend to me and you burned me in the time that I needed you, I just like stacked more bricks on my wall. So I made it even higher and even harder to get to me. And what I thought was interesting as I was thinking back on that situation was, the Bible says that we're supposed to put on the full armor of God, right? So the shield of, I think it's the shield of faith, is one of them. And how I was saying I was building a wall, I also put a shield around myself too. Not the shield of faith that I should have been putting. I put up like a human-made, Jania-created shield. So I was like, you know, I'm going to be vulnerable enough, open enough, trusting enough, which is really when I'm saying enough. I really wasn't doing that great at all. But I was saying to myself, like, I'm going to be these things enough so that people know that I'm human, that I'm flawed. But when it comes to me sharing the deep things of my heart, you're not going to get that close. You're not, because I've done that before and it's proven time and time again to only leave me like hurt at the end of it. So I'm like, no, I can protect myself. So that's what I'm going to do. Fast forward to today, I was telling you guys in 2023, God was showing me that I had trust issues. There were so many things that came up, and it's kind of like the rubber met the road, because at some point I was like, okay, I've continued to operate in this way of not really trusting people, but I'm like, how do I reconcile what I know about people, which has proven to be true, but also coming from the lens of I want to have healthy relationships? How do I then reconcile that I've been failed so many times by people, and how do I trust again? How do I start over again? So that was one thing that I was just like, God, you're gonna have to help me, because I definitely don't know how to do it on my own. And that is what has led me up to this point. So there was a point where I had to make a decision. I'm either going to continue on in the way that I am and not fully invest in the relationships that I'm in, or I can begin to trust people. So how did that look? How did that process go? You will have to come back for the next part of this series to hear how God started working on me. When I tell you God got me together, He did. So if you want to hear about that, come back and watch the next part of this series. Today, I just kind of wanted to introduce this series to you guys, and it's going to be called Becoming Vulnerable. Vulnerability is something that I struggle with, but it is also an area that I'm asking God to work on me with, because I've gotten myself not far at all. Honestly, we're starting at square one. This is ground zero. But I wanted to let you guys know, like, if you're struggling with the same thing, we're going to walk through this together. We're going to be vulnerable. Our relationship with God, number one, is going to grow. And then also our relationships with people are going to grow. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys, talking to you guys in the next one. Bye.
All I see is blessings. Got no time for stressing.